Hi there. Today we're going to talk about solving linear equations using the distributive property. So let's talk real quick about the distributive property. So the distributive property is used when you have grouping symbols like parentheses, okay? And so if you have, what this says is that you have 3 times the quantity x plus 2, all right? But because we're dealing with a variable here, we have to use the distributive property in order to clear out our parentheses, okay? So what we want to do is we want to take, if you see this, if you see some number outside parentheses and you're operating, if operations inside that, what you want to do is you want to take that number on the outside and multiply it by each of the inside terms. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 times x plus 3 times 2. 3 times x is simply just going to give you 3x, plus 3 times 2 is going to give you a value of 6, okay? So that's the result, okay? And this is me using the distributive property, going from that step to that step, okay? So let's look at a couple of examples. Okay, so in this example, I have 4 times the quantity x minus 2, and that's going to equal 20. Okay, so one thing that I can do, that I want to do, is distribute my 4 into each of these terms. All right, so I have 4 times x, so 4x, and then I have 4 times negative 2, which is going to give me negative 8, and that's going to equal 20. All right, so as a result, I now have a two-step equation that I'm trying to solve. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 8 to both sides, all right? Just like I would if I'm solving any two-step equation, all right? Just solving it like normal. Drop down my 4x, and that's going to give me 20 plus 8 is going to give me 28. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 4, okay? 4 divided by 4 is going to divide out to 1, and so you have x on the left side, and then 28 over 4 is going to give you, divided by 4 is going to give you 7, all right? So that's your answer for that, all right? So that's how you would start that, okay? These are multi-step equations, but we got to, every time I read an equation, I'm just reading it to see what it says, and I'm just doing what it's asking me to do, okay? So let's look at a harder example. Okay, so for something like this, I have 3x minus 2 times the quantity x minus 6, and that's going to equal 18. And we're trying to solve for x, okay? So the first thing I notice is I have a negative 2 outside my parentheses of this group, x minus 6. So I'm going to distribute my negative 2 into each of those terms, all right? I'm going to drop down my 3x, so I've got 3x, and then negative 2 times x is going to give me negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 6 is going to give me positive 12, and that's going to be equal to 18. Okay, now from here, I don't have a two-step equation because I've got two terms with x. So I want to combine these like terms first, and that's going to be my next step. So 3x minus 2x is going to give, so 3x minus 2x, that's going to give me, 3 minus 2 is 1. So I've got 1x, so 1 times x plus 12 is equal to 18. Now when you have 1 times x, you don't need to write that. 1 times any number is that number, so 1 times x is just going to give you x. Plus 12 is equal to 18. All right, so at this point, we actually just have a one-step equation. We don't have a two-step equation because I have a 1 here, all right, in front of my x, so I don't have to divide by anything. So from here, I want to then do the opposite of adding 12, which is subtracting 12. All right, move that to the other side, and you then get that x is going to be equal to 6. 18 minus 12 is 6, and that's my answer. Okay, let's look at another example. Okay, so on something like this, now these are just getting longer and a little bit more complex, but remember, I've just got to follow my steps. Okay, so in this, I notice that I have negative 3 times the quantity x plus 1. So I'm going to have to distribute my negative 3. Over on the right side of this equation, I have 4 times the quantity x plus 2. So I'm going to have to distribute a 4. So let's do that first. Let's go ahead and distribute our negative 3 and distribute our 4 and clear out all of our parentheses. Let's drop down our 5x. And I have negative 3 times x, which is going to give me negative 3x. Negative 3 times 1 gives you negative 3, okay, on that side. And then let's distribute our 4. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is 8, okay? So from here, we want to do some inverse operations. And so I'm going to do 5x minus 3x on this left side and combine those as like terms. And so 5 minus 3 is going to give me 2. So I've got 2x minus 3 is equal to 4x plus 8. Now from here, you have options as to what you can do. All right, we're back to that multi-step equation with variables on both sides where I could move the 2x over, I could move the 4x over. It doesn't matter which I do, okay? I tend to move, I would move the 2x over to the right side because I would be subtracting 2x from both sides, and that's going to leave my variable term as a positive number, okay? I'm going to get 2x minus 2x, which is going to cancel out to 0. So I'm going to drop down my negative 3. I have 4x minus 2x, which is going to give me 2, and then x, okay? And then plus 8, all right? At this point now, I have a two-step equation, all right? So from here, I'm going to then subtract 8 from both sides, all right? Move that number over, and so I have negative 3 minus 8, which is going to give me negative 11, and that's going to be equal to positive 2x, okay? And so at this point, since I'm multiplying by positive 2, I want to divide both sides by 2. All right, on the right side, that's going to divide out, and you're going to get that x is equal to negative 11 halves, okay? Now, negative 11 halves, 2 doesn't divide into 11 evenly, so you can leave it as a fraction, okay? And you could do the division and do a decimal value too, and get that x is equal to negative 5.5, okay? Either one of these is acceptable answers, okay? And sometimes, you'll want to just leave your answers in fraction form, and that's okay. Fractions are your friend, all right? All right, had a great time making this video. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, bye.